So this one isn't trimmed up yet on the front, but she can be trimmed. But when you take them out, you hold them, you look down at the top, right across the beak here. Okay?
Behind you.
Okay.
There you go.
If you look down, it should be as square as possible across here and come up kind of nice.
Okay.
If it's pushed back very much like a racing homer head, you know, where the feathers are back like that, you don't want that.
Okay.
Okay?
So kind of up.
Right. Right.
Or this one has a stronger.
Yeah, but that one has a bit of a flat head on it. See?
Okay.
You don't want the flat head. You want them to be more round, like that.
Okay.
So when you look at the face should be a nice looking face. The beak should not be down on the breast like this. It should be held out straight. There shouldn't be any drooped eyes on them. Some of the birds, especially in the blacks, they'll have an eye that's down like that, that'll droop. Mm-hmm. You don't want that. Okay. And you try and get the face in through here kind of as smooth as possible. Because we're getting birds, like on this red, it's quite smooth. Mm-hmm. We're getting birds that have big clefts in their faces where all of these feathers will turn up. You don't want that because that's bad and it's hard to get rid of. Okay, so then when you're holding the bird, you want to know how long it is, and this depends on your hand. Now this bird is about average length for my bird. If the tail is out here, that's getting to be too long. If it's down about here, then that's a bird I really want because it's nice and short.
And the shorter,
yeah, the shorter the better. Okay.
So about. Okay.
Yeah. So just put it on your chest and hold it out and measure it and get an idea. And you'll get experience with that after a while. So that's kind of what you see here. Now the other thing that we have within our birds is something called split wing. And that's where these last three flight feathers fold in. And they don't stay straight out like this. They'll fold in. So if you just push on them, push on those feathers and they don't bounce, you know, these will come back. If they don't come back to there, then it has a split wing on the side. And you'll see that at some point. Maybe you'll even find your bird. So split wing is a problem. Cracked eyes, do you know what a cracked eye is? Mm-mm. Okay, well, you see this bird where the iris is nice and black and round? A cracked eye will be that iris will bleed into the orange.
Okay.
And that's a disqualification. And on the Modenas, the Gazis, if there's any white flights, that's a disqualification. Okay. The only white flight you can have on any bird is a white. Other than that,
so that's the
that's a disqualification.
Any of these feathers.
Any of these feathers.
If they're any white. Okay.
Yeah. So you should be able to let the bird go, and it just stands. You know. And that's exactly what they should do. And both of these do that. These are nestmates. They're out of that red check gassy that I showed you, that old one.
Yep.
Yeah. And these are the two best that I raised this year. And they should be upright. The legs kind of almost off the back of the neck, you know, all the way down, and it should be round. And if they aren't round, if they're cut across here, or they have a bunch of feathers sticking out the back, they're loose, that's something you don't want. And may see a little bit of that with some of these birds, and I'll show you that. So this is as close as I get to the standard, these two birds. With the red, and you talked a little bit about reds and yellows. One of the problems that reds have is they have, first of all, you know, you can see this guy is pretty straight across here. Doesn't have any drooped eyes on either side. Mm-hmm. You know, it's pretty smooth on the front. A little bit of that feather turning up, but not much. No split wing.
No white wing.
No white feathers. Reasonably short tail. Now, what do reds have that are a problem? They have something that are called feather rot, and you can see this on here. And this is acceptable. If it gets to be any more than this, and it's usually in the area where the bars would be, if there's any more than that, you don't want to breed from it because that's not a good trait in the reds to get the feather rot going.
Okay.
The other thing that reds will have oftentimes is they'll have kind of a plum tail where this whole area in here will be kind of a blue-gray. And that's hard to get out. So
You don't want clean as possible.
Yeah, yeah. It's not easy to find birds. Now see, this guy doesn't pop up quite like this one. You know, but this guy's kind of flattened out in the back. Let me grab my stick over here.
Sorry.
I have even a red stripe on it to tell me where, oh here. So this bird, you know, needs to be coaxed up into having a good position. And even then he wants to rear back a little bit. So this blue gazy here. Okay, looks pretty good across the head, across the frontal, a little bit of a flat head, no cracked eyes, no white flights, no split wing, reasonable length on the tail. Okay, now what you see here is he doesn't, you know, pop up like these other two.
Yeah.
And he's a little shallow here. You see off of the wing here?
Comes down like this.
Yeah, it should be fuller, like these guys. They're fuller in the front. So shallow is hard to overcome. You know, this is a young guy and he may fill out more, but you want it to be as full as possible underneath here, nice and round. On the yellow, she's a little bit light in color, but you know, she doesn't have any drooped eyes. She has what's called a horn beak, which is what you want on reds and yellows. You don't want it stained. Does this guy have any stain on his beak? No. But reds are notorious for having big stains on their beak. A little hen. So she rolls up nice, and you know, she's reasonably nice pigeon. She's the only problem that I have with her. She has crossed flights back here.
Okay.
They don't sit flat on the tail, and the shorter you get the bird, the more often you get those flights to cross. It's kind of a moderate fault, but other than that, she's a nice pigeon.
So a couple of questions. Why do you tap the cage, like just to get her attention?
Just to get their attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turn in front.
So this guy's got a stained beak. You see, it's not quite as clear as that yellow one there. Sometimes they're really badly stained. You know, and the eyes look fine. He's pretty good frontal on him.
You can tell the males from the females just by looking at them.
Well, kind of. Now you see, he has some of this plum in the tail, the blue
the color.
Yeah, and in here, and that's really hard to get out of these birds. A little bit of feather rot on them, not bad, but a little bit.
So who do you decide to take out of your breeding program? Who do you keep?
Well, the most important thing is they have to be round. So if their legs aren't right in the center, behind, you know, at the back of their neck, and they aren't, they're straight up, the head is held high, the beak is held out, and they have this nice roundness to it. If you don't have that, you don't have a Modena, in my opinion. So that's the most important thing. All the other stuff you sometimes have to deal with because you're not going to get any birds that don't have it. I mean, you're not going to find any reds that don't have plum on them. You're not going to find any birds that don't have some creases on them like that. You're not going to find a lot of birds that will stand up like this. if you find one, I don't care if it has white flights, cracked eyes, everything. That's the most important part of it is that.
curve.
Yeah, yeah. On the blacks, so this guy has pretty good frontal. His color isn't real great. He should be blacker. You see, it's a little bit kind of grayish. Yeah, should be blacker. Haven't trimmed around his eyes yet, but his eyes are good. Little bit of feathering like that, but not bad. No split flights. Length is okay. Are you gonna get up or not? Okay, so he's a little bit loose in the back, and that's, see, right in here? Yeah, a little bit loose, but a nice full neck on him. I'd like him to roll up a little bit more, but you know, they're just hard to get like that. You just, like I said, these are my better young. These are birds that I'm going to show, and these will win every class that they're in. And they still have faults. I mean, there's still problems with them. They're not exactly what I want. When I breed next year, I breed this one to a bird, if I have a bird, that's a little bit more round than that. But blacks are notorious for being loose in the back. Okay. I don't like them leaning back when they relax. I want them to stand all of the time. I don't want them, just like this, yeah, I don't want them, you know, dropping out of it. If you have a bird that stands all the time, the judge can't take their eyes off of it. You know that from dogs. You have a dog that says, I'm the winner. Yep. All the rest of the stuff is garbage. When you have that dog, it wins.
He goes back and he runs back. He goes out and he comes back.
Yeah, I mean, and when you get that kind of a bird, they win. That's the kind. Now Max has them everywhere. I mean, but I have a few. He has a lot. On the white here, this white hen. Okay, she's a little bit small, but she's a nice typey bird. She's pretty. And one of the problems with whites is they show any imperfections in their feathers from the shadowing up above. So when they're rough, they look ugly. And this one's nice and smooth. I'd like her to be a little bit bigger.
Is she still fairly young?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, she's reasonably upright. She does cross her wings. But the shorter that you get them, the more you're going to get the wings crossed. But she's a nice typey bird, and she's pretty. You can get birds that look ugly, that have a mean-looking face, and you don't want the mean-looking. I don't like them. When I judge, I see a bird with a mean face. I just don't like it. Now this is probably the best black Gazzy that I raised this year. The color is good. He's a little bit blacker than that one there, that black. Come on now.
These are my favorite.
They're just, I have so few of them. The only other person, he doesn't have a real pretty face on him. Mm-hmm. You know, I like him to have I don't like this line across there.
Does it need to be a little more fuller? Or?
Well, it should be. The frontal should be fuller. You see up here? Way? Yeah, see it's got kind of a racing Homer face to him. He doesn't have any white flights. Probably the best one I have up there has got white flights. It's a real young one. And not, you know, there's not much white up in here. In the blacks, typically you get this black down on the feet. Now this guy here is a little mismarked. I haven't trimmed him out yet, but I'm not going to be able to get all of that black out. Yeah. In through here and in through there. But he doesn't have quite the face and the head the other ones do. But he's reasonably upright, you know, and he has nice legs. They're feathered down through here. They make them look like they have thick legs. If you have birds that aren't feathered down the legs, and I don't have any up here right now, They look puny. They really do. They look like they're standing on two toothpicks. So they're not supposed to have feathered feet, but most of the birds that I raise have feathers on the feet, simply because I'm trying to get this feathering down the legs to be real heavy.
Okay.
These birds have all had the feathering trimmed off of their feet. So that's a quick course on Modena.
That was great.
You know, at the show I can spend more time with you, and we can, you know, birds and like, do you know a guy named Dean Williams who breeds Argents? He lives in Oregon.
He lives in Roseburg, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't know him, but
Yeah.
I hear his
Anyway,
name.
he's a real nice guy. He's the president of the Pacific Modena Club. His Argents are the best in the world. He sells them all over the world. They're kind of loose feathered down through here, down underneath here, and in there. And so it brings the feathering down the leg a little bit more. It makes their body look bigger, but it makes their legs look short. And also some of them are short-legged. And with short legs, you can't breed like a long-legged bird to a short-legged bird and expect a medium-legged bird, because the gene for medium legs isn't there. So, but he has beautiful pigeons, beautiful Argents, beautiful opals. And he's a guy worth talking to.
Okay.
It's bad enough. I even hate taking them to the show, because then they get exposed to all the other birds. But it's bad enough at the show. But then if you bring in a bird from a loft that has a history of some problems, you got to be really careful about it. But I'd love to get an opal from him. I think his opals are his best birds, actually.
Yeah, I saw two of his Argents.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
there's growth there.
But anyway, he has really done a wonderful job breeding the Argents, because when he started, they were just puny little Modenas, and he's developed them into something that's quite spectacular. So anyway, I'm hoping one of these two wins the national.
Wow.
That's